Hi, this is Terri Pace. I welcome you. I am a health coach and a former employee of Suffolk County. I have been doing this for maybe 10 years and retired from the county about 5 years ago. And today we're going to explore, what you can do to support your health naturally, right? Using essential oils every day. We're going to talk a little bit about my favorites as it comes to cooking with essential oils. Like, this is absolutely one of my favorite things to do, right? I love, my family owns a restaurant, right? Pace's Steakhouse, right here in Hop Hog, New York. And, I love, showing my love for people by cooking them a meal, right? Isn't that how we have relationships, right? It was all founded around that meal. And so applying the use of essential oils to cooking just kind of came natural for me. And so I wanted to start with just a brief overview of exactly what is an essential oil and why would you want to use them, right? And so essential oils are distilled from plants, right? So it's kind of similar to the plants that we eat, right? It's just in a more concentrated form. It's much more potent, right? The essential oil is liberated in the distillation process from the plant material, and it's volatile, it's aromatic, and it has message carrying molecules, right? Who's the message for? Well, the message is for your cells, right? That essential oil is produced by the plant for a very particular reason, right? To help protect the plant from, fungi or environmental threats, to help it recover, and to actually act as a communication, right? It attracts pollinators and sometimes can repel pests that might destroy it. And so those are the same 3 reasons why we would want to use an essential oil. And it protects us, it helps us recover, and it helps us with our communication. And when I talk about communication, I'm talking about intercellular communication, right? The ability of our cells to talk to each other is what actually helps everything happen, right? So we use them aromatically, right? The first thing you notice about it is that it has an aroma, right? So we breathe it in, right from the bottle. Maybe you put it on your hands and make a nose scent. And if you have a diffuser, just put it in the diffuser, right? I can change the mood of the room or create a protective blanket in any particular room just by diffusing, a warm oil or a citrus oil. We can also use them topically. This is a well-founded, well-studied method of using essential oils. And the one we're going to talk about today is internal use of an essential oil, right? Put it in your water, put it in your veggie caps, put it in your recipes. If you're brave, you can put it under your tongue like I do, right? But not all essential oils are created equal, right? Your essential oil has to have this kind of supplement facts label, right? That is a label from the FDA, which says that it's a food supplement, and it's rated, it's called GRAS, generally regarded as safe for internal use. When you have a pure and potent essential oil, right? They're not all created equal, so not all of them can be taken internally, right? Within 22 seconds, the molecule, right, the message from that essential oil is already in the brain, right? Within 2 minutes, it's found in the bloodstream, and within 22 minutes, it is in every single cell of your body, right? And so this is just a visual of, is a sample of someone's blood. They applied an essential oil to the bottom of this person's feet, and then 30 seconds later, took another blood sample, and look at the difference, right? It's just a dramatic difference. And 30 seconds later, right, we see such amazing health benefits by improving every single cell in your body. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about cooking with essential oils, right? What are the basics that you need to know? Why would we use them? And I'll give you some of my favorite recipes, and then we'll have an opportunity for some questions and answers. Okay, so, cooking with essential oil is one of the best ways to experience the benefit, right? We're going to take them internally, where we get a systemic effect, right? When we breathe it in, it's going to go to the brain, right? Your limbic brain and your nervous system. When we put it on topically, it's going to impact that area directly. And when we take it internally, it's going to kind of jump on the superhighway and go everywhere. Now, no matter which way you use it, it does go everywhere eventually. But I like using oils internally because I do get a systemic health up-leveling. And plus, a lot of the essential oils are food in another form, right? It's food that I eat anyway, right? Clove and cinnamon and thyme and oregano, right? These are herbs and spices that I use to cook normally. And so now I'm using a therapeutic form of that, right? And so let's talk a little bit about some of the reasons, right? What some of the benefits. And so the first thing is it adds such tremendous flavor, right? A single drop of peppermint essential oil is equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea, right? It takes, I think, 30 pounds of lavender to make a single bottle of lavender essential oil. It takes 40 lemons to make a bottle of lemon essential oil. And so a single drop is going to add tremendous amount of flavor, right? We have, you know, those internal use benefits, right? By taking it internally, you're going to have antioxidant support, digestive support. It helps that, you know, internal cleansing that we need to do, right? From our environment or some of the foods that we're eating. They're safe and natural. And, you know, because you don't have to go to the store, like, you know, this was one of my issues, is that I would go and I'd buy all these herbs and I would use it once and then I'd have to throw the rest out because it would spoil before I got to use it again. And now I have a little garden where I'm growing some herbs, and it's nice to just go out and pick it. But at the same time, it doesn't have the robustness of the flavor that I can get from an essential oil, right? Sometimes, you know, you can only pick a few leaves when you need a lot more than that. So it's very convenient to have oils at your fingertips, right? So you always have a fresh ingredient when you have oils at your fingertips. Okay, so I get this question a lot. Well, is it safe? Right? You know, is it safe to take it internally? And so we do look at, historically, they've been used for centuries to promote wellness and to provide the body with benefits. Right? For years, people have used them safely and successfully, right? And, you know, the truth is the use of essential oils and plant extracts has been in practice for a long time, right? They've been part of our diet, right? They're taken from the plants, the seeds, the fruit, the roots, right? And so, you know, we eat plants. That's what we do. And especially that, you know, plants provide an enormous amount of antioxidants for us, right? The more raw and natural you can get with your diet, the healthier you're going to be, right? Why? Well, because they alkaline the body, right? In an acidic environment, we tend to have, you know, more opportunity for some of the diseases of the world, pro-inflammatory, right? And so when we're taking in antioxidants from our plants, we're just helping create cellular health. We also know that, you know, we're taking in oil that has been, you know, tested, right? Upside and down. And I love with doTERRA's essential oils that on the bottom of every bottle, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a little lot number. And so you can put in that lot number at source2u.com and you can actually see all the tests that were done to actually support that it's true lemon essential oil, or, you know, like there's nothing added that's synthetic. There's nothing grown in a laboratory. Everything comes from a very particular region of the world. There are some essential oils that are not to be taken internally. Here's a list of the top ones. You know, arborvitae, cedarwood, cypress, Douglas fir, eucalyptus, spikenard, white fir, wintergreen, right? They all have issues. Let me just pause. Yes, so there are safe oils, and then there are some that aren't. The way you know is because it has that FDA label on the essential oil bottle. So you'll never wonder, should I take this internally or not? Okay. So when we're adding essential oils to our recipes, right, it adds flavor, right? Putting oils in heat can sometimes minimize some of the health benefits, right? And so we don't want to, put an oil in and boil it out, right? You'll get the flavor, but you might not get the therapeutic benefits, right? And so, let's talk a little bit about some of these things, right? So I will add my essential oil at the end of the cooking process, right? Because, oils will evaporate, right? And so, when I want a muted flavor, I put it in at the beginning, and when I want a stronger flavor, I put it in at the end, right? Sometimes it's not possible to add the essential oil at the end, right? And so, I will just reduce the heat as much as possible, based on whatever the particular recipe calls for. So, for example, I like to put essential oils in my grains, right? We know that whole grains, sprouted grains, are really good for our digestive tract. But, quinoa, maybe it's a little bland, right? So we end up putting all this other stuff on that to make it taste better, and that part ends up making it not healthy to eat, right? You put cream sauces and butters and all sorts of salts just to make it flavorful. So what I do is I put essential oils, in the water. And so then as the grain is absorbing the water, it's actually absorbing the flavor too. So, whether it's, fennel or coriander, sometimes I use like wild orange or tangerine. I love citrus flavored rices. They're just so amazing. And again, I try to boil the water first, add the rice or the grain, and then lower the heat, and then put my essential oils in, right? And so it just helps keep the therapeutic value, reduces the evaporation from the heat, and it still adds the flavor, right? When you're adding it at the end of the process, right? Like, let's say you don't want to put it in the heat at all and you're adding it at the end, my suggestion is just to use much less of it, okay? So let's talk a little bit about, what kind of cookware, right? So essential oils have the ability to break down polymers. So that means that they have the ability to break down plastics. So we don't want to use plastics. We want to use glass, ceramic, or stainless steel, right? It protects your cookware and it protects you, because as we use an essential oil that might actually disintegrate the plastics, now we're ingesting those. And so that's really not going to help us feel better. Hold on one second. So moving on, it's really important to have the right flavor, right? All our recipes are very, very particular about, what flavors that we're mixing and not one overpowering the other. And so one of the ways I use an essential oil is I take a toothpick and I stick it in the orifice reducer. And then I kind of just swirl it through like my olive oil or in a big pot of sauce, right? The oregano is so strong that I can't even put a single drop in. I have to just take that toothpick and then swirl the laden toothpick into the sauce, right? So basil, cassia, cinnamon, clove, cumin, thyme, they're very strong. And so, it's important that you experiment with a little bit so that right? It's always easier to add a little more than to take it out. And so just know that those 7 are probably the strongest ones, but like cilantro can be strong. I happen to really like cilantro, so it doesn't bother me if I'm a little heavy-handed with it, but you have to know your audience too. What will they like? Okay. So here's a great way to kind of like know what essential oils can I mix with what types of foods, right? And so citrus oils go great with baked foods, yogurts, and dips. I love them in my salsa, and you can always put them in any kind of beverage, right? I use citrus oils all the time in my water. I also have been known to put a drop of wild orange or tangerine in kind of Prosecco or maybe a margarita. You can use the spice oils, right? All the things that you would find in your spice cabinet, like that oregano, thyme, marjoram, coriander, fennel. They're great with meat marinades and vegetables. Maybe if you have this kind of savory dish that you're trying to create. Our herbs, which, you know, like those Italian seasonings, also go great in soups, sometimes in our breads and pastas. Here's what a place where I frequently, you know, substitute the oil for the dried herbs. You can always use the floral, right? The geranium, lavender, right? In your baked goods. They actually help to soften the flavor, right? It's a good way to combine the citrus with the floral. And then your mints actually are very potent, right? So when you know, spearmint in particular, you know, even one drop in a full glass of water of spearmint can be sometimes overpowering. And so, you know, again, less is more, but they're great in desserts and salads. And one of my favorite things to do is to marinate my pork in cinnamon essential oil, right? You know, you have some of the other liquids, and I just add a drop of cinnamon, and cinnamon pork just tastes so amazing. So what are some of my favorite recipes? Well, you know, I love using essential oils in my morning smoothie, right? You can put whatever you want in it, but, you know, like a fruit and a green are always a good combination. If you're a yogurt person, you could throw that in to make it a little creamier. I love adding nut butters, right? So I will either use like sunflower or almond. You can put a little bit of the almond milk. I prefer the coconut milk. And, you know, if you need it to be sweet, then you can add some stuff that is sweet. And, you know, ginger is a great oil for the morning. Sometimes it's ginger and lemon that I put together, but there's lots of different ways. And what's great about this is you get to just choose what flavor you like. The same way you vary your diet, you can vary your smoothie. So every day, you know, if you're a creature of habit, you might use the same thing over and over again, and that's okay too, right? Like, you know, the wonder is you have this amazing spice rack in front of you when you have all these essential oils at your fingertips. Lots of different oils are good in our marinades, right? And so this is just some of the best oils to use, right? You want to choose an oil that pairs well with the item that you're marinating, and then add it to the marinade mixture. Remember, whatever you're marinating in can't be plastic, right? So take like a glass bowl or one of those glass rectangulars, right? The Pyrex, put the cover on it and let it marinate in there. What's one of my favorites? Well, I told you about the cinnamon in my pork. I also do some marinades with like my potatoes, right? I love to put like the sage, the rosemary, the thyme with some olive oil and some garlic, and then just brush that over my potatoes before I bake them, right? And so whether you're baking them whole or whether you're cutting them into cubes or maybe even like French fries, you know, it's a great way to cook your potatoes. Now, if you have a love for the baked goods, right, using essential oils to add to your baked goods, it's amazing. Like one of our favorite things to do is to take a couple of drops of peppermint and put them in your brownies or in some of your cookie recipes. You know, anytime your recipe calls for a spice that you have as an oil, you can substitute, right? We just substitute it less. If you want to put your name and your email in the chat, I will send you kind of like a conversion sheet of how much oil based on how many teaspoons of that particular spice was called for in your recipe. Another really good one, if you're a bread person, this is amazing, right? So I love a really good olive oil, and putting in like Parmesan cheese and some spices. You can add some balsamic if that's what you like. I love putting in some of those essential oils right into the bowl, and dip your bread in it, and just so delicious. One of my favorite kind of appetizers, right? It's super easy guacamole. So I take a bruschetta, right, which already has your tomatoes and your oil already put together, and for every avocado, right, you cut the avocado and mush it up. For every avocado, you take 1 tablespoon of bruschetta, and it's 2 drops of lime, 1 drop of cilantro, and then kind of mix it all together after you've mashed up your avocado. And this is just super easy guacamole. A little bit of salt and pepper if you like that. And like I get raves. I bring this to a lot of barbecues or parties where you offer to bring a meal side, and it's just like super good, right? And now it's healthy for you, right? Cilantro is one of those powerhouse oils that we're not cooking it, so we're taking it raw, and we're getting the full potency of that therapeutic value to help us boost our immune function and protect us from environmental threats. We also have the ability to, I make like a lemon lime dressing. You can put, different salads together. Like my favorite is this strawberry almond, put a little spinach in there, add some fresh raspberries and some lime essential oil. This one tastes amazing, right? So now here's some really good simple recipes for Italian seasoning, right? Or even like you want to have a flavored sugar, right? When sometimes you're using sugar in your coffee or in tea. That's another one I forgot to mention. I put lime essential oil in my green tea all the time, and it is so amazing. I know lots of people who have, favorites that they put in their tea or their coffee. You could put the cinnamon or the cassia in your coffee for a really like wake you up kind of flavor, right? But these are some simple ways that you can just add like basil, thyme, marjoram, oregano, and or rosemary to some garlic salt, and then just use that to season your potatoes or your breads, or just put it in a shaker and put it on the table, and then people can just use it as they like. We have a great ebook that helps kind of go over all of these tips and tricks and offer some other recipes. And so for a comprehensive look at all the things we've talked about today, I will be happy to send you this book for free. So any questions? Are you guys open to using essential oils and taking them internally? These are my top 10 essential oils, and for each one of them, there's so many different uses. When you have essential oils at your fingertips, you're going to help it with stress and energy, digestive function, respiratory function, seasonal threats, joint discomfort, and powerful antioxidants. And so if you would like a free sample, I'm happy to send it to you. So you can either fill out this contact me card with just your name and a way for me to contact you. I can send you some free samples, or you could just simply text or email me. You could visit me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm here to support you and your goal to use essential oils in all sorts of different ways. So thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next week. I think, what are we doing next week? I think we're doing, like, the next 2 weeks of August, we're doing essential oils for children, and then kind of boosting protection for back to school. And so 2 really hot topics right now.